No mindless debates, no manipulated stories, and no taking sides. We pick stories that the mainstream media does not. The current state of things picks that one story for the week that really matters. Find out the story behind the story in the current state of things with me, Vikram Pratap Singh, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Red alert for planet Earth. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres recently said, and I quote, "Governments are nowhere close to the level of ambition needed to limit climate change to 1.5 degrees and meet the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement." He also called it a red alert for planet Earth. Signed in 2016, the Paris Climate Agreement aims at keeping global average temperature to well below 2 degrees Celsius. Countries also agreed on cutting emissions by half by 2030, so that Earth could remain under 1.5 degrees safe threshold. However, the latest reports submitted to the UN shows that governments around the world are not doing enough to check their emissions. I will now quote an article from CBS News. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has said that emissions must be reduced by roughly 45% by 2030 compared to 2010 levels to reach net zero emissions by 2050 and ensure that the average global temperature does not increase more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. While the majority of countries included in Friday's report show that their individual reduction goals have improved, combined, they will only reduce emissions by less than 1% by 2030. If the world fails to meet its target in the next 9 years, the IPCC has warned, global warming will lead to irreversible loss of the most fragile ecosystems and crisis after crisis for the most vulnerable people and societies. India, the fifth most polluted country in the world, according to IQAIR, and the third largest emitter of carbon dioxide, must get its act together. Pradhan Mantri, while addressing the 8th convocation of Pandit Deen Dayal Petroleum University, said, "Today the country is moving forward with the goal of reducing its carbon footprint by 30 to 35%. When I told this to the world, it expressed surprise and wondered if India could achieve this." I will now quote a Bloomberg article. "India will not only meet its climate commitments but is also set to overachieve," Prime Minister Narendra Modi said on November 22, 2020. PM Modi's speech was underwhelming for some climate researchers, who saw it as yet another proof of India's hesitation to aim high. India's global climate strategy has always been about under-promising and over-delivering, said Vaibhav Chaturvedi, fellow with the think tank Council on Energy, Environment and Water. Other experts point out that India is in no position to set an economy-wide net zero target if it wants to sustain economic growth, put millions out of poverty, and provide power to the millions still undeserved. At best, it can aim for the net zero emissions in select sectors such as power and transport, in which it has access to effective technological solutions. Why are we as a country still lagging behind? A country that spends tens and thousands of crore on elections alone, why is it failing to stand its ground when it comes to climate change pledges? Where will our children live? We need to think and think fast before we turn our planet into Mars. Bye for now.